Okay, that was great timing. Okay, so for hopefully this last video, we're going to talk about how to actually make the charts. So I have my data, my original data, and on this page, I will have my linear regression chart. So I'm just going to kind of like clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see more of it. So I want to make two charts, one for each XY table. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm just using the shift right arrow and the shift down button. And I'm going to insert a chart, excuse me. And the kind of chart I want is a scatter chart. And I want the mileage. Remember, I want my price to be my dependent, my Y. And I want the mileage to be my independent. And then I want to have a trend line that is linear regression. So the type is linear. So you see there's all the different types right here. So I want it to be linear. And I want, if you remember from an older project, I wanted to have the equation and I wanted to show the R squared value. Okay. And because I have those, because I have highlighted those first rows that have the, sorry, I'm trying to grab this, that have the header of the column, it automatically labeled everything for me, which is really nice. Okay, so that's one thing. And now I want to insert the other one so I can see. So you can see the R squared value is pretty high on that guy. And the mileage seems to really affect the price. So let's see. I don't think this one's going to really affect the price, but let's see what we get here. Whew, that looks yucky. So the price is the Y value and the distance from Chicago is the X. And so I'll go back into customize. Again, this is a scatter plot because each point is on here and then it's scattered about. So it's a scatter plot. And then I want to put in the trend line. This is kind of old school, old news for you all. You know how to do this. And I'm going to use the equation, show R squared. So I got my equation here. I got my R squared, which is like really, really low. And then the other thing I can do is I can just say, okay, this one's just going to be, let's go school colors, is going to be orange. I'm going to make it a little thicker. And this guy is going to be blue, but I'm going to make it thicker. Okay, so that's just like how it's going to be. My mileage will be blue and my distance will be orange. So just like something like that to make it more colorful. And of course, I'm going to add pictures to my actual project. When I'm all done, I'll make it pretty. Okay, so I've got the mileage and the distance. Now this is my linear regression. So now I'll go and I'll do the exact same thing, but this time I'll do exponential regression. Insert the chart. You guys are going to get so good at this by the end. Again, scatter plot. Now I go to series and I make it a trend line that has this time exponential regression. So you can see it got a little bit curved and I still want the equation. Now this equation is going to look a little bit different and I want to show the R squared. And then I will do the same thing for the other one. So I'll go through and do the same thing. I'm not going to do it right now because I really want to show you the quadratic one, because if you looked, the quadratic one, I couldn't find it. So I want to show you how to find the quadratic one. Sorry about the bells. Okay, so when I insert this chart, again, scatter chart, looks great. I will go to customize, go to series, and I want to have a trend line. Quadratic is not one of the options, but a quadratic equation is a polynomial with a degree of 2, right? 3 would be a cubic, 2 would be quadratic, 4 would be a quartic. And so that's what I want. And then I wanted to show R squared. I wanted to show the equation. So you can see it does have an X squared in there, but it's just like very barely curved. You really can't even tell that it's curved. And so then let's try it with the other one. So let's try it with the distance. That might show us more of a curve, but this will look like a parabola. This parabola would open down, but it's such a teeny tiny a value that you really can't tell. So let's see if the next one has more of a parabola to it, more of a curve to it. So I'm going to customize series, trend line, polynomial, degree 2. Oh, look at that. That one really looks like a quadratic. I need to make it orange. And I do want the label, again, I want it to be the equation, and I want to show my r squared value. So the quadratic actually has a higher r squared value. It actually fits the data a little bit better. Let's be honest, this has no correlation really with that, but you can see that it does have a little bit higher of a correlation coefficient for the quadratic one for distance. And then for the last one, for polynomial, I'll just show you one of these. In fact, I'll show you the distance one because it's all over the place. You will make both of them, but just to make this video a little shorter for you, the polynomial one, you can choose whatever degree you want. So I'm going to do a trend line that's polynomial. Again, quadratic was degree 2, so you don't want to do that one. Want to do a different one, like maybe degree 3. And if I show my r squared value, you can kind of play with this and say, oh, well, that went up to 0.247. What about degree 4? Well, that went up more. What about, let's get crazy and do degree 10? Yeah, that's a really high r squared value, but that's a really crazy polynomial degree, right? So you can choose whichever one you want here. And you can kind of see how the r squared value changes. So when we did this on our Unit 2 project and it was just linear, we had to take that r squared value and square root it to get an r value. But with anything that's not linear, we are just going to look at the r squared value. So for all of these now, we're going to compare the r squared value for all of these. We're going to leave them all as an r squared value. Oops, I want my trend line to be orange for this one because it's distance. And so then you would go back and you would do all of your graphs. And then I can make a new sheet that has all of my graphs on it. And I can just pull all my graphs over to here and I can say, okay, like these linear ones, these are the exponential ones, and then I can compare them all together. I could put the linear ones in, I could put the exponential ones in, I can put the quadratic ones, and then I could put the polynomial, and I would say what degree I chose. It's really in my way. Polynomial degree, and then I would choose like the same degree for both of them. Let's say I did degree 6. So then I will go back here and I would put things into the Google Doc. So here I have all these sheets, but I did put all of them together so that I could look at them because part of the reflection is going to ask me to look at all of my graphs. Okay, so select the top 2 best fit graphs from your set of 8. So that's why I actually made this other sheet that it did not tell me to make, but I made a sheet and I'm going to put all my graphs on here. I'm going to have 2 graphs for each of them. And I'll do, this first one will be price versus mileage for all of them. The second one will be price versus dealer distance. And I'll put a graph here, price versus mileage linear, price versus dealer distance linear. And I'll put all 8 of my graphs on here. And then you just want to go back and answer all of these questions. So provide your data tables and the images here and your initial thoughts. So everything should be on your Google Doc, but your spreadsheet is where you're doing the math. But everything that needs to be in here should be in here. So it tells you what to put in here, but then also I'm going to go back and I'm going to read through this and see like, what do I need to do? Part 2 to 5, it says, do your math in your Google Sheet, take screen clippings. And then Part 6, reflection. So you want to answer all of these. And then when you're totally done, you want to go back and look at all of the rubric and make sure that you have full points on everything. Okay, so I hope this helps you make a great project. Thanks.